So we're reviewing Ben's car today, aka Carsandtrees. If you don't know who that is, Cars and Shrubs is right here. This is Ben. I went to high school with him.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a long time, probably longer than we probably should have known each other. He runs a great car page. I've learned a lot from him with photography and whatnot, so you guys should definitely check him out. And we're gonna get into his Beetle today.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. We're in the Beetle. We're driving the boat today. All right, Ben. So you said, what did you say? Where'd this car come from?
So this car, it came from Volkswagen Group of America corporate office. So this was a car that Volkswagen Accessories, their team built, it was built in Michigan, in Auburn Hills at their testing center out there in Michigan, just outside of Detroit. And it was commissioned by the accessories team, so they took like a stock 1.8 turbo base model pure white Beetle off the assembly line in Puebla, Mexico, and then they shipped it to Michigan, and John Saylor, who's a Volkswagen engineer, and his team stripped it and rebuilt it with performance parts.
Okay.
So they rummaged around in the Volkswagen Accessories Volkswagen Group parts bin. We got Mark 6 Golf R brakes. There's Audi S4 sway bars. The windows are down.
No, yeah, you're fine.
There's Borla cat back. Custom fitted racing line intake. There's also a short shifter kit here, 5-speed manual car. There's running a set of Volkswagen Motorsport wheels. It's a very rare set of wheels that Volkswagen produced for a very short period of time. They run about $3,000 a set these days. And they're really great. They're 19s and they look fantastic, show off the brakes well, and they really fit the profile of the car. And then to complement that, there's all kinds of custom painted pieces on the outside. So there's a lot of blue accents. There's a custom rear diffuser, a custom front splitter. They're not really aggressive, they're subtle, but they're there. And there's a custom painted lip on the GSR style wing on the back. Yeah. And then there's also blue vinyl on the sides of the doors that says Beetle. So that was everything that Volkswagen did. As you can see, I've done a couple things myself, if I may go into detail about that. So, one of the most noticeable things to you guys watching right now is definitely the harnesses, the Schroth harnesses, and the Recaro Sportster CS seats. These seats, as soon as I saw them in a friend of mine's Golf R build, I knew I had to have them. They were like the best looking aftermarket seats I've ever seen. And I ended up buying his exact seats, and these are the harnesses from his car as well. So shout out to Jordan. They are leather, they're heated, they run through the car's actually OEM buttons, so we were able to wire it. And these harnesses are mounted to a Tyrrell Sport harness bar in the back, which required a little bit of, no, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of custom fitment. Because it says for Mark 5 and Mark 6, but really it's for Mark 5 and Mark 6 Golf. And this is a Beetle. So it requires some surgery, but my mechanic Scott at Deutschwerk, shout out to Scott, the best VW tech in Maryland and in the game, really. He made it look like it was meant to be there and that it was installed into the factory. So we're super safe. We got these amazing Schroth harnesses fitted with the shoulder pads. They're really comfortable, right?
Yeah, no, I like
the BC Racing coilovers. I'm actually fully sponsored by BC. This car is a BC Racing sponsored car. As you can tell from all the stickers around that you probably saw in Logan's cinematic. This car is running a full set of BC's BR series coilovers made specifically for the Beetle, and that is correct. They do make Beetle suspension. So you can buy suspension and make your car's fitment look fire if you own a Beetle. There are few and far between, you know, aftermarket support companies for the Beetle, or companies that support aftermarket parts for the Beetle, but they are there. And BC's been nothing but great to me. The whole team there is fantastic. Their product is fantastic. You have BC's on your car. And it's changed the ride dramatically because this car was running stock suspension with lowering springs, and like the harshest lowering springs you can buy. So the ride was, I mean, you've ridden in the car before, it was atrocious. And now we still retain that excellent handling capability that we had before. We can take highway exit and, you know, on-ramps that loop around. We can take those at 55 miles an hour flat.
Okay.
And then we can also, you can turn right here. We can also, you know, have a comfortable ride, so when we go over bumps, we don't break our back.
Why, like, but you probably, like, how did this car, like, come to you? Like,
Okay, so I have a friend named Chris, and Chris is one of my best friends. Obviously, we met through cars and through Instagram, and he owned this car before me because his father is a former executive at Volkswagen Corporate, which is actually located from where we live about 45 minutes to an hour in Herndon, Virginia.
Wow.
So Volkswagen, Audi, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Bentley, they're all headquartered here in Virginia for the U.S. North American division. So he used to work for Corporate, Chris's dad, and they purchased this car from Corporate when Corporate put it up for sale. Because every corporate fleet car eventually does get put up for sale.
Okay.
And then Chris had many years with it, although, you know, Volkswagen doesn't really drive their cars. So when I bought it, it had 25,200 miles. Most of those were put on by Chris, but again, for a 2014 model year, pretty low mileage car.
Yeah.
I bought it in February of 2018, and the reason that I bought it is because, you know, of the couple times I've ridden in this car, I fell in love with it. It's just such a unique vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, it tells you a story every time. So, when he was, you know, showing me the car one night, about 3-4 months before I ended up buying the car from him, he was doing this, you know, this highway exit ramp at 55, and I was like blown away. And then he said, "Watch this," and we got about 250 to 300 feet out from a stop sign, going 45, smacked on the brakes, and we were like probably 10-15 feet still away from a stop line. Like, it'll stop on a dime. And I told him right then and there, I said, "If you ever decide to sell this car, please call me first." And he laughed and said, "Okay." He didn't think he would have to. But eventually, a couple months later, he and his dad, they're into racing as well. They have a race car. They'd actually just bought the newest one, which is a Mini Cooper race car.
Yeah.
Fully stripped out, like not road legal, completely built race car.
Okay.
And they needed a car to trailer it to and from events.
Yeah.
Which means they needed to sell a car to get the money to buy that car.
Oh, so they sold this.
And the car was titled in his dad's name.
Right.
And his dad never drove the car because it was so uncomfortable.
Okay.
And he was like, "It's got to go."
Fair enough.
Know. And he called me and he said, "I want you to have it. I want you to have the car. I know you want it. I want you to have it." And I'm not gonna say what I paid for it. If you know, you know. But I stole it. Thank you, Chris.
I'm sure you had like other options of looking at like cars and whatnot, and so like this was like the one.
Yeah. Well, so I would have had other options, but I wasn't really looking to buy a new car.
So this kind of just fell into your lap.
Yeah, I was like I had my dad's old car. It was a 2003 Honda Accord that we bought new in 2002, and we purchased in 240,000 faithful miles.
Right.
You know, since new, driven off the lot. Nothing was wrong with it really. The engine, it was all the other parts around it were failing, you know, little bit by little bit. But I wasn't really looking for or in the market for a new car, and if I were to get a new car at the time, the plan was for just me to take my grandfather's car because he wasn't going to drive anymore.
Right.
And then this came up, and I said, "Dad, I want this car. It is the best deal ever. You're never going to find a better deal than this for what I'm getting. It's special." And it took about 2 or 3 days, and we finally were like, "You know what, we'll do it." So I went to hang out with Chris one afternoon and test drove it. We got a pre-purchase inspection. Everything checked out, just needed a wheel balanced. And I had a trip that weekend to Detroit to visit my friend Peter Northrop, who runs 1016 Industries, a really great company that builds carbon fiber kits for Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, Porsche, everything. He's a fantastic company, fantastic guy. And when I came back from Detroit, I landed a red-eye flight, or like early morning, like 3 a.m. flight. I landed probably around 6:37.
Right.
My friend Ellis, he picked me up from the airport, and we drove straight down to Virginia, where Chris lived at the time, and did the deal. And I was the proud owner of my first car that I bought myself, which is this, and my first manual.
Okay.
I stalled coming out of the driveway.
Really?
Yes.
How did you come across, like, how did you and BC, like, get into contact?
So, I was talking about doing coilovers with my mechanic, Scott.
Yeah.
Scott is great, and, you know, he works on all Volkswagen, Audi group cars, but also, you know, any other cars. And he is a dealer for some of these, you know, big companies like Unitronic and BC and South Bend Clutch. And so he had brought up to me that BC Racing made kits for Beetles.
Right.
And so I had said, you know, I'm going to, you know, I know you sell them, but, you know, how cool would it be if we could get sponsored? And he was like, see if it works out. And so I just basically went on their website and I found the contact me page.
Yeah.
And I sent him a quick little blurb that said, I'm interested in speaking to you guys about sponsorship. You know, I have a big following on Instagram. I can help you out. You know, I think it can be a mutually beneficial relationship where I can create, you know, photo and video content for you guys, and I'd love to work with you. And I got a response the next day from Tim. Tim's amazing. He's a great guy. He's the number 2 or 3 over at BC Racing North America. And super cool guy, petrol head, like car guy through and through. And there began the back and forth process. You know, they were vetting my, you know, credentials. And, you know, I was just waiting to hear back. And they were like, what can you offer us? And I went into detail about that. And they said, sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay. Nice. So what are your plans, like, for the car, like, next? Like, what's next?
Well, I think it's time for new tires as soon as I get this alignment, because these are all cupped, and also I'm going to probably stretch a 235 onto this 245 wheel, because it needs a slimmer profile tire as well.
Oh, you want to be a hot boy?
A little bit. Like you. I just want to be like you when I grow up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then just laying low for the time being until Unitronic creates a tune for this motor, which they don't have yet, but they are saying it's in development. So as soon as they get their butts in gear, and as soon as that happens, right, we'll buy the tune, but we won't install it until I need to replace the clutch, because obviously we're over 50,000 miles now from new. Okay. Eventually we're going to need to do a clutch, and when we need to do a clutch, we're going to do a South Bend Stage 2 kit.
Okay.
So that's all going to be done through Scott. We're going to purchase it, you know, through Scott, and Scott's going to do the work. Again, shout out to Deutschworks, amazing guy, amazing mechanic. He knows these cars inside and out. He's a 30-plus year experience Volkswagen tech.
Okay.
So he has 30 years of experience working on Volkswagens.
Nice.
And I trust nobody else but him.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I know a lot of people, like, especially me, like, once you got that downpipe, the custom downpipe you have, like, it sounds way better than, like, what anyone would think it would sound like.
Yeah, I mean, nobody expects the Beetle to sound like this.
No.
It's crazy.
Like, not at all.
The boys?
Yeah. So natural, like, to drive it like this, because it just feels so planted now. Because before on the springs, like, sometimes, like, I felt like when you did hit a bump, like
Yeah.
I was gonna like roll over, but yeah, like, now like it feels
It's
good.
more planted. This downpipe combined with the BC suspension, the seats, the harnesses.
Yeah.
It's the whole package. Plus, it's a Beetle. Like nobody expects that.
I think it's a fun car. Like it's not a car that has like a buttload of power, and like you can't really. It's not drivable after that. Like once you have a buttload of power, like you can't drive on normal roads.
Exactly.
But like this, you can like put your foot to the floor,
and it's manageable.
Yeah, like you can have fun with it.
And I do have fun with this. Oh damn! Is that Samantha, bro? I heard about her.
Damn.
She had thought.
Facts. Crusty hoe.
Crusty red hoe with gold shoes. We're talking about his car.
Yeah.
Hey, finger guns.
Well, Ben, this has definitely been an interesting ride. A lot of fun, more fun than I thought it was going to be. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out today, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Cardi's Reviews. Thanks for watching, everyone.
I'll shake my own hand.